There are only a handful of B-25 World War II bomber airplanes left in the world, and one of them made a pit stop in Bemidji this week. For this week's In Focus, Jamil Doneth not only shows us this magnificent aircraft, she takes us up in it as well.
It's a history lesson with wings. The Minnesota Wings Commemorative Air Force travels around the nation during the summer, taking people for rides in the B-25 Mitchell World War II bomber.
What really made the airplane famous was the Tokyo Raiders that early in World War II made the first strike on Japan shortly after Pearl Harbor.
There are only a handful of B-25s left in the world, and one of them flew into Bemidji this week.
Show people the vehicles that the greatest generation used to fight the war and how difficult it was compared to today's military.
And just as few and far between as the aircraft is the number of pilots who can fly the B-25.
The warbird pilots are a very small group,
making this an opportunity that is once in a lifetime.
You don't usually get to get up close and touch history.
This will be the first B-25 ride ever, for sure.
World War II history buff Dan Rantham has been fascinated with the B-25 since he was a boy.
I'm excited. I want to get out and get up, and I'm really looking forward to it.
A Navy pilot from 1955 to 1959, James McGehee has made it a hobby flying in old warplanes.
Every opportunity I take it, and I fly one of them. And I've never flown the Mitchell, so I'm anxious to fly it.
After getting a tour of the outside of the plane, we finally got to step inside the historic aircraft.
Ready? Yep, ready to go.
Now that we're all set and ready to go, everyone has to wear these headsets here because it gets up to 190 decibels, which is basically the equivalent of a rifle shot for 12 seconds straight. And as the plane propellers started to spin, our excitement skyrocketed.
Think of the history behind the B-25. A lot of history.
Two passengers and I sat in the front of the plane with the pilots. With passengers in the back, the B-25 can hold up to about 8 people, but not comfortably. It's extremely hot and very confined.
It's interesting. It's definitely a functional airplane. It's not an airliner.
And even more compact is the gunship nose, which in this model is all glass. So the view was well worth the squeeze. While an exhilarating experience for us, we realized firsthand how difficult it must have been for the pilots.
To fly for hours in a confined space like that, those guys really got to work out. You just really appreciate what they did.
So the sky's the limit when it comes to learning. And after only 20 minutes in this World War II aircraft, this is one history lesson learned on the fly that won't be forgotten. For this week's In Focus, Jamil Doneth, Lakeland News.
Yeah, amazing stuff. They've certainly made some advances with airplanes over the years, haven't they? This is the first time the Minnesota Wing Commemorative Air Force came to Bemidji. I had a chance back in the early 1990s when I was on my first job in Minot to ride on a B-52 bomber on a mission, which was, again, it's a huge plane, but there's not a lot of space in there.
Yeah.
It's really hot, and it's really...
They're very confined in there, yeah. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. So.
If you've enjoyed this segment of Lakeland News, please consider making a tax-deductible contribution to Lakeland Public Television.